Movies, Films, and Flicks, a podcast that remembers the First War, the way the sky burned, the faces of the angels destroyed. I saw a third of Heaven's Legion banished in the creation of hell. The podcast stood with its brothers and watched Lucifer fall, but now the podcast and its brothers, and we have come here where we are mortal to steal the dark soul, not yet Lucifer's, to serve our podcasting cause. I have always obeyed, but I never thought the war would happen again.
And then Eric Stoltz goes to sell some heroin.
So I am Mark Hoffmeyer, and joining me is Nathan LaHaye. Thanks for coming back, LaHaye.
Oh, absolutely, man. It's always a good time.
So this is really random, right? And so we're in a third of our Elias Koteas inadvertent trilogy with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, The Fallen, and now this.
We're going forever with this, baby.
I love that we somehow found our way to this completely inadvertently. Like,
We found
our way there.
I jumped at the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and then we randomly got on the subject of Fallen on the Facebook page, and now we're just that one we're just like, hey, yeah, let's keep it rolling,
Doing
Koteas
this,
or bust.
And I gotta tell you, man, I'm tired of monotone narration in post-apocalyptic. So if you think about a lot of movies, so I love the Resident Evil franchise, but Alice is like, the world is in fire and everyone's attacking. Every post-apocalyptic movie you hear, oh, this and that, and then the world did this, and then I did that, and then the world exploded. Listen, you and I, Nathan, are in the middle of an ancient angel heaven-hell battle. Even though we know Eric Stoltz's character in this movie has seen it all, if I'm narrating this, right, if I'm gonna be like, holy shit, the angels are fighting each other. Gabriel's down here trying to get some insane guy's soul because he ate and murdered people and decapitated them and kept them in these things. And then I meet up with this priest, and the lady from Candyman is here, and Christopher Walken. Have you seen the devil? He looks like the dude from Fellowship of the Ring. This is insane.
It should be narrated like David Della Rocca when he's freaking out in Boondock Saints, like, pack your shit. That's how it should have been, that level of thing. Yeah, and it's funny with this movie. One thing that I wanted to mention, like right off the bat, is like when people were going to see this movie, what do you think they were expecting? Because like I was looking at all the taglines that they had set up for like the promotional things, and it made it out to be this like gargantuan, like big, what was that? God's army has come to Earth and all hell is about to break loose. I loved that one because it was just like, it makes it seem like it's going to be this like big actiony.
Yeah.
And then you get the prophecy. The other good one was, which the other one that I found that made absolutely no sense, which made me have to, mention it now. Tell me what you think of this one, Mark, and if you think it fits the story that is within this flick. So, on ancient ground, at the edge of the world, an evil born in heaven is about to be unleashed on Earth.
No.
So let's break this down. I saw it on a poster for this movie as written. So on ancient ground, let's break it down. On ancient ground, ancient ground, just because they're somewhere that not a whole lot of people live, out in, what is it, Arizona?
But it could have taken place in a city if he found the soul there.
Exactly. So on ancient ground, that's like already misleading the audience. On ancient ground is just kind of wow factor. Like, ooh, this could be at the edge of the world. They're in Arizona. Apparently Arizona is the edge of the world. An evil born in heaven. Oh, okay. I guess that's accurate.
Is he evil
that
yet?
was accurate.
Is he evil yet? Like, in this world, it seems very gray. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's funny. Like, I wouldn't consider anything other than Viggo Mortensen, who is like arguably as Satan, like the nicest character in the whole thing out of
people's mouths.
Well, that was just a threat. He didn't mean it.
Do you think he would have done it? If Virginia Madsen, right? If Catherine was like, no.
If she just kept talking.
Then
that would have been actually, I would have paid to see that in this movie. If she's like, you know what? You can't just, and then it just like appears in their mouth like in a Nightmare on Elm Street, like changeover or something. That would have been great.
Oh, barf, poop, barf.
Poop, barf. But an evil born in heaven.
I know what the name of this episode is.
Poop barf, oh God. But an evil born in heaven is about to be unleashed on Earth. Were they going to unleash things on the
No.
earth. Like it's such a funny thing. Like the whole concept of this movie is we have to find the soul. The most evil soul will like basically absorb and eat other dark souls and become more powerful. But they never like specifically said what it was going to do. Am I wrong?
Well, so the soul of the soldier that they wanted, the murderer,
Yeah.
like cannibal, they
Yeah.
said that he knows how to do war, whereas the angels don't quite have that meanness to them. So he
Okay.
wanted this dark soul to kind of, it's like when you sign a $120 million signing to come to your team. Like you're you know what I mean? Like an enforcer. Like you're
Yeah.
bringing in the big guns. So that's what they said in this movie where
The Dark Souls, the Goon, or the Bash Brothers.
exactly. Like
Yeah.
that's
Okay.
all three
Gotcha.
twins in Slapshot. Like it just comes in or Doug Lattengoon for a more relevant one there. But yeah, he said that he's pure evil. He's the most foulest soul who would have gone to sea. But if Walken
Okay.
gets this soul, he could turn the tide of this stalemate between the angels. That you have the jealous angels, and then you
Yeah.
have the not jealous angels.
The do
Eric
what you're told
Stoltz,
angels.
yeah, the Eric
Yeah.
Stoltz is do what you're told, and he says that I just do what I'm told. I sound like
Yes.
Sylvester Stallone there doing Eric Stoltz. But then you have the jealous angels, and so if they
Like
win,
Christopher
there's gonna
Walken and Tommy Wiseau that showed up 5 minutes in the alley.
with
That
no
was
eyes.
the first thing. That was the first thing that hit my mind as it going. I was like, wait a minute, is that is that Tommy?
And so, all right, so then they'll win, but then there'll be another hell, not another heaven. So then Satan, played by Viggo Mortensen, just says,
That's
I
so
don't want
good.
two hells because that costs me business. That's like another car dealership opening. Like you have
Exactly.
competition.
Yeah.
It's like the Karate Kid.
You don't want to split the revenue.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's like Cobra Kai at two car
Absolutely.
dealerships, competition. And he doesn't want it, so then he goes to Virginia Madsen, and then he goes and talks to Elias Koteas, played by Thomas Daggett, who has a serious Constantine thing going on because he knows too much.
Dude, that is I'm so happy you said that because like as soon as you went into like I have faith and all this, and they went through that weird like opening scene in the church that he was shown something that they never came back to really and said this is exactly what you saw. They replayed it later in the movie of just like the weird like strobe light flashes of angels and blood on wings but it never actually said, oh, this is what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And then and then it cuts to him later on and he's on top of a building just taking long drags off of cigarettes. I was like, did he become Constantine? Is that what's going on here, John? Is that you?
He knows too much. That's why he has no faith.
Exactly.
I'll go for it.
I was just gonna say, Koteas I don't think he was bad in this movie by any means. I think he's always good in what he's given, but there was like, for so many characters in this movie, like certain motivations or things that they were going through and scenes just didn't make sense at all. And I'll go like to probably about the third scene in the movie when he comes home into his apartment to find Eric Stoltz just perching somehow like on the back of a chair, weightless, just like sitting there reading his books, and he and Koteas is supposed to be this like hard, homicide detective, and someone is in his house that he's never seen before, and he gets the gun out. Who are you? What do you? Get out of here! Blah blah blah. And then Stoltz just starts talking and asking questions. And Koteas just calms down and starts like having a conversation, and like everything is cool. I'm like, what? This dude that you don't know is here, like somehow defying gravity, and like knows so much about you, and you're all of a sudden cool with it, and just let him walk out with like a personal possession. Like, how does that make sense?
So you know me, man, for our Ninja Turtles episode and Fallen episodes, we found a lot of research. For this one, there's not much.
Yeah, I was digging, and there wasn't there wasn't a whole lot that I could unearth.
I almost got a subscription to the dark web just to find something. But so I found some interesting things where I read the best thing was for Virginia Madsen AV Club Random Rolls article, and she said that was like one of those completely ridiculous situations where they didn't even have a whole script when we went in to shoot. But it was a good idea. I mean, it's a good idea, right? The movie was a really good idea, and the director, Gregory Widen, was the writer of Backdraft and Highlander. So that's that's heat. The dude had heat.
Yeah.
So we thought we were in good hands. Like, oh, he'll be able to write it if it's not done, but it's possible to write as you go. That's like us writing a script working our Comic-Con days. Like, you can't do it. That's just something that never works, no matter how talented people may think they are. But the thing is, so Elias Koteas joined this movie because Christopher Walken was in it. Virginia Madsen joined this movie because Christopher Walken was in it. Viggo Mortensen signed on the day before to fly in and do this movie and wrote his speeches because Christopher Walken was in it. So everyone just went, oh, Christopher Walken's in it. He's got heat. And so they join up. Everyone goes. It's by the dude who has all this heat from Backdraft and Highlander. And this is his directorial debut. So he got in over his head. He didn't get his pages. And Viggo had to write his lines. Other people had to write their lines.
I didn't know that Viggo wrote his own lines. So that makes me love it even more. Oh my goodness.
She said that he wrote it and he came up with his entire character. And so what I love is the reason I think this movie has become a cult classic, right, is the actors who signed on because of Walken and the heat of the director. But this movie gets lost, dude. It's like,
so quick.
I was all in the beginning. I'm like, oh man, Koteas is like seeing stuff. He looks great, man. He's got a jawline. He looks good. I'm thinking, like,
what is with his hair?
Yeah,
I couldn't throughout the entire first half of the movie. I was like, is that his real hair? Like the first, when he's a priest, not his hair. And then even when it grows out a little bit more, I was like, is that his hair now? It was it was just, I don't know why I focused on it. Maybe I'm just so used to him as Casey Jones with the long locks, but I didn't buy it for a second.
In Fallen, he had short hair, right?
It was just gone. So I guess I'm polar opposites with Koteas. It either has to be flowing or non-existent. Exactly.
And so, you're like, yeah, man, he saw too much, and the movie's going to be about him. But then you get Christopher Walken goes and joins up with Adam Goldberg and Jerry, and I like him, but he's a suicide case. He brings back to life, and I guess angels can't drive, so you just have you have Adam Goldberg being Adam Goldberg. And then he's like, they're hard to get, but then he goes and immediately gets another one, played by Amanda Plummer as Rachel.
Yeah.
And then they can smell things. And then you have Virginia Madsen, who's we just talked about her in the movie Candyman. She's wonderful. She's luminous.
So
she's
good.
Excellent. But I just went, why is she in this? And I was like, where'd Koteas go? And then Christopher Walken, you're like, what? He's having kids blow trumpets and blow out windows, and it's his trumpet to call, and then you have Adam Goldberg being sassy, and
it jumped around so much. And I found two snippets of reviews that I read that I thought just perfectly were like, yes, this is exactly what does this movie. Someone said it was daring and unique on the one hand, but very hard to swallow on the other hand, which I was like, yeah, okay, I can buy that just because it set up things, but didn't provide enough answers to make it believable. And then the other one, which was just perfect, it says it was an occult freak show so inert, it seems to have been pasted together with stock footage.
Whoa.
I was like, oh my God.
Wow.
But really,
the idea is there,
makes
right?
sense. Yeah, I think that Widen had a very good idea to start off with, but just didn't know how to put it all together and make it flow, because it just jumped around so much from place to place that it didn't give any one, segment really enough time to develop before it switched over, which is why you have, okay, we got the detective and he found this angel, and then we're back to the angel and he's got these things, and then he's fighting another angel, and then the angel dies, and then, okay, we're back to the detective, and then and now we're in the middle of Arizona with a teacher and a choir concert, and then why is Stoltz here now? And he's got a dead body. Okay, well, I think I remember that. It was just like I think the director was banking on the audience filling in those holes to answer not even their own questions, but just there were little things like the newspaper clipping in the beginning, and why is he in Arizona? And all of a sudden the casket with the dude. Oh, that was the dude from the newspaper clipping. Okay, I got it moving forward. But there were so many things that either they just did and they're like, go with it, don't question it, or fill in the blank with what you think makes sense, which is really not how you should.
No.
put forth an $8 million movie. This movie was $8 million. That blows my mind too.
And
did the majority of that just go towards
Walken?
Black hair dye for Walken?
Yeah, most of it must have gone to him, I would say.
It had to have, because the only CG that I remember was Eric Stoltz looking getting burnt up, very unbelievable. That was the only CG that I remember, and then the weird angels